where real conversations replace quick fixes and perfect answers. Welcome to We Are Not Fine.
शादियों की बात तो कर ली, अब डेटिंग की बात करें। कर लेते हैं Hello guys, welcome back to episode 3 of We Are Not Fine. I'm Muskan. I'm Manda. And today we're going to talk about dating. Rather, what is not right in dating or therapist. Or therapist. Tell me, Muskan, why is it so difficult to date as a therapist? Dude, I really don't think there's one answer to it. There cannot be just one. All the answers today. I think to start with, if you're talking about the dating thing, the whole thing, then to start with, if we are on any dating apps, do you see the kind of messages or the opening lines that we get? It's either that, will you be analyzing me during the date? Can you tell what I'm thinking right now? Oh, I'll get a therapist also during my date. As if I mean. Have you read about Freud? Do you want this book? Have you read this book that's about Carl Jung? Yeah. Have you read this book? That these are the most common ones. I think I know a lot about psychology also. My friends tell me I'm very good into advice. Yeah, the confusion. I mean, हमने 7 साल की डिग्री तो बस ऐसे ही की है. They are better at giving advice. Yeah. We should believe them. That's true. So tell me, what are the most common things that you've heard that have annoyed you on first dates? I think trauma dump. It's not something that I've been told of, but people think that, okay, I'm a therapist and I'd be understanding as well. So, let's just slide into it slowly and just tell them the trauma so that, maybe she'll understand, maybe she'll empathize. And yes, there's compassion for them. Time somebody's listening to them, right? So they just go on. They're just like. Exactly. And see, this is why there's a little bit of fear that, should I be telling them that I'm a therapist in the first go only? So yeah, there's this fear, but then I think not everyone is, of course, that way. But of course, there is that fear. Of course. I want to know what's something that icks you out during dating. I think it's just, as soon as you tell them, I'm going to remember the initial phases, right? As soon as you tell them that you're a therapist, it's just this idea that you're going to be more understanding their patterns early on, because you will understand the story, bring them to this, whatever personality or lack of personality that they have right now. This is very relatable. Has some reasoning behind it, right? But obviously childhood reasoning behind it. So since you're a therapist, तो समझोगे कि what exactly is it that makes them the way they are, and how you are the only person who has ever listened to them and made them feel like they're important and they're being listened to right now. So just that, as in how what is supposed to be like a fun interaction, just getting to know someone, literally turns into getting to know them as if it was the first session you're having. Which starts off with their job and their college and then their childhood and everything just in one go. As you said, they get very comfortable with sharing. Exactly. I mean, what you said is totally relatable for me as well. I mean, my friends can definitely back me up for this. That this is my red flag in a relationship. If I am in a relationship, that I understand too much, and I think we do. Yeah, and dating as a therapist, I think, is also a little difficult here because then you don't know where to stop empathizing, where to stop sympathizing, and just empathize. ये तो clients के साथ भी होता है initial stages में when we are still growing. But I think in relationships, since we are always vulnerable, it's much more difficult to navigate that path there. It is because I think look, the basic understanding that I think every sane person has of relationships is that they are going to take a lot of work, right? That's the baseline of any relationship. As a therapist now, knowing that relationships are supposed to take work, that people are a little difficult to adjust with and get used to, and sort of the compatibility that you can form with anyone. So when you know all of this, and you're a therapist also, now you're getting to know someone, you're just overly understanding of their patterns, right? So when they do something that would be very icky or very wrong or probably a straight out red flag also, you're like, what, I understand where this person is coming from, and seems like there is some kind of trauma for this trigger that they're having right now. So, since I can understand it, I should be more understanding, and then I should allow them more chances and more time, and maybe even help them figure this out. This weird blurring of lines that happens for us also, where we're like, you know what, I can see why this person's behaving this way. I can see the reasoning behind the pattern, and I know exactly what we need to do to be able to change it also. If they change it, then this relationship is going to be golden, right? So this urge to make them see what exactly is it that's wrong, it's very difficult to control. And it's not the right thing to do because we are not their therapists, but we can't seem to control that or stop that. So it's just very, very difficult. Has that happened to you in your relationships? Like, just this need to tell them that, this is what is wrong and we can actually fix it. But then you're not supposed to be doing that because you're not their therapist.
Yeah, but then I've also suggested them that, either they should take somebody's help professionally or just figure it out themselves. But then the next statement usually comes as that, you're a therapist. Why do I need a therapist? And then making them understand the whole thing that, I can't really be your therapist. I am not your
doesn't
therapist.
really work, does it? They don't understand that part of it.
Yeah, but I don't think I've also been very firm that, I can't be. I know that I can't be. I also convey it to the other person. But probably, you tell me, if you have ever faced that, were you super firm about this and did it still not work?
For the other person going to therapy?
No, that I'm not your therapist.
No, I don't think so. I think I've had a lot of failed attempts at that, I think and it really depends on the person you're trying to be in a relationship with also, right? If they're super toxic, I don't think they will ever let it go that you're a therapist, right? So they can always have the upper hand in convincing you that, what, you can be as toxic as they want, but you should be understanding, right? So that is sort of their trump card, right? They are never going to let it go. And I'm assuming that if you were to date like not toxic people, and then maybe there would be hope, but we don't really have a lot of data for that to 2 weeks.
I don't think so. This is, I feel like, ouch. Ouch.
This is worse than our last episode because that one was about marriage. But we don't know a lot because we have not ever, been close to marriages. We don't know anything about marriage. We don't even want to get married. So this one is just that.
But I think that's what makes us more human. I'm glad.
That's what makes us not fine at all.
Yeah, true.
Suppose, yeah.
And I think most
do you think therapists have a tendency to date toxic people? Let's talk about that because we both have a lot of therapist friends, and almost everyone has such a horror story of dating someone that completely almost ruined them. So do you think therapists have this sort of tendency to date really toxic or broken people?
Wow. Now I'm thinking of different people.
We can count these people because we know them. All these people that are therapists and
but is it? But can we still call it a tendency?
There is something that is attracting to them. Is it our this need to fix people? Is it that maybe?
I think the people that we know, maybe they do. I'm sorry, people, but this is the truth. I think we do have this thing, and I think going forward, we really need to work on that.
Yeah, it's true.
But
I think it's just because you can see the problem, and you're like, if you just did this, it would fix it. So it's like, I think we're all Bob the Builder. We're like, we can fix it. Fix it.
But just like how we can't really fix our clients, we can't really fix our partners as well.
Nor should we try to, is the thing, right? But we can't seem to understand the difference between those two. We get a lot of learning and progress, I suppose. And then again, that's where the distinction between just the human being and being a therapist lies. There are, some lines that you shouldn't blur, and you should stick to them. Probably learn how to date better, I think. Yeah, for everyone. Tell me, are there any red flags that you notice in people now that you're a therapist compared to before, maybe?
I think I definitely do. I definitely do. I do.
So you are analyzing your dates then. They were right.
Come on, I mean, spotting red flags is just normal. I can spot red flags, but if I'm in a relationship, it's difficult to not to consider them as red flags.
Yeah, that's true.
Because again, that's where your empathy card turns into sympathy, and then you let that red flags go on and on and on.
Yeah, this is so weird. Because I remember one of my friends coming to me. She's not a therapist, or I didn't remember. She went on a first date and she was like, "This I noticed, whatever, whatever." And we used to always, because we're friends, and used to walk every day after dinner, right? So we always used to talk about whatever, if any person went on a date or something interesting happened. And she was like saying something that did seem like a red flag. And when it came to her situation, I was like, you know what, this does seem, if you're looking for my opinion, this does seem like a red flag. You might want to be a little careful, a little mindful of that. And then in the back of my head, I was just doing a quick calculation of how I ignored that exact same thing. Maybe because I was thinking, because you know what, because I'm a therapist, I will be able to handle it when it becomes too much, right? Or that I'll be able to help the person fix their red flag. But maybe it isn't a red flag because I understand all the trauma that this person comes from, which I suppose.
We can't.
Yeah.
Even if we
can't.
try
We
to,
can't.
and we get into it, it becomes super exhausting. And I'm sure a lot of therapists would agree with me here. It
Yeah,
becomes super
absolutely.
exhausting, and then
Yeah.
you really don't know how to go ahead from there, and then it just ruins
Mm.
the relationship.
It does. And this constant back and forth of, since you're a therapist, you should be more understanding. And this statement, you hear it from the person you're trying to date, but then somehow it plays in your mind also. And when you have a rough day, you're also like, wait a minute, I am a therapist. Shouldn't I be understanding this better? Maybe there's another way I can look at it. What about attachment styles though? Because it's becoming very famous now on Instagram and everybody talks about attachment styles also. So now every day people also, even if like you're not a therapist, you mention attachment styles and you're like,
Mhm.
does it match my attachment style or not? So do you do that? Do you try figuring out your partner's attachment style?
In my last one, I think I tried to figure out what my attachment style is first.
Okay, did
I
you
think
figure it
that
out?
was much more important for me, that to understand what I used to get very confused between two of them, and then I understood that, oh, I'm a combination of both. So to
Same, but
understand my own self, and then I think I would definitely try to understand my partner's attachment style as well, and then to see that oh, these are the patterns because of these attachment styles. But then to understand that where do I need to stop? Okay, I've understood his attachment style, but that's not my responsibility.
and that's the thing. What do you even do after you recognize their attachment style? Because some attachment styles are not compatible. So imagine you figured out here two different ones. Then what are you supposed to do, right? And the weirdest thing happened for me is that this last person that I was trying to see, I thought that this was my attachment style, and I was like, this is theirs. Okay? And it turns out I was that, and God knows what their attachment style was. I didn't figure out, but I was what I thought they were. And yeah, it's just a mess. So I don't think it's that simple, honestly. And I really discourage people from figuring out their partner's attachment style because I don't think it is. Let your therapist do it. If you go to couples therapy, let them, in the back of their head,
That's
try
true.
to
That's
figure
true.
it out
But
for you.
it's
But
very difficult to
knowing it
refrain.
does not help.
But I think it's
Sorry.
difficult to refrain.
I know, but
It
I
it
really
happens.
think people should refrain from it. It's
Yeah.
something I want to say as a
Especially,
therapist
I
and a
think,
person
yeah.
who has done it before also. And I really think it would be better if you took people as just as opposed to clinically diagnosing them as this or that. I think that would help. Because
Yeah, yeah.
even if as therapists, if we couldn't do it, I really doubt that anybody just looking at a few reels on Instagram would be able to diagnose it
See,
properly,
when
right?
you
So there's no
mentioned this,
point.
it matlab, I could understand that where you're coming from, because as soon as you do analyze the attachment style,
Yeah,
if you have some things going on in your relationship which are not absolutely perfect, then you start blaming their attachment styles, and
for it. Yeah.
probably yours as well.
Or
Usually not.
actually, you start becoming more sympathetic also. If you figure out that your partner has an avoided attachment style, now the
Either you
problem
start
with
blaming
attachment
them.
style is, it's depending on your caregiver, right?
Yeah.
So you go automatically back to, Arey, yaar, avoidant hai, to bichara, his parents must have done.
Mm.
It's like you remove all the blame of this person's behavior and you go put it on others. So now they are technically not accountable for anything, and you're just making excuses for them. Ki, isko to attachment style hai, that's why he's behaving this way. It is not his fault.
That's
Then you
true.
start excusing a lot of behavior also. So I think that is a bigger problem actually.
Yeah, I think
You
either
just start
you
allowing a
start
lot of,
blaming the other person, or you start sympathizing with them, and then that
yeah,
ruins the whole
yeah,
thing.
both are bad.
Been there, done that. That's what makes me more human. Come on.
It does. But yeah,
Learning
but
from my mistakes.
smarter for having been through it, yeah, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. For sure. Okay.
Also, I think one thing we should say is that,
Hmm.
just say that, is that, sometimes we feel like the first few red flags that you notice in people, or the first few icks that you notice in like a first or second date, I really think you should not ignore them because they stay. Is the problem. Because when the first time you meet someone, right, you're very objectively looking at them, right? Because it's not like you already started liking them. If there are a few things that seem icky to you in those moments, trust me, they stay. They don't go away. You think you'll get over it, but I really don't think you do. But yeah, maybe we should do a side dating podcast kind of thing, and then we'll talk more in detail about this. What do you think? Do you think
This is
the first few things you notice they go away? They don't. I don't think they do.
with my experience, they don't go away.
They really don't
If
go
you
away.
do think that that they go away, then I think it's usually your at least in my case, I can't say for everybody, but in my case, that was the version of that person that I was fantasizing that this would change, but it never does.
It doesn't. It doesn't. And the things that bother you in the beginning are the ones that are going to make you so mad after like 3, 4, 6 months. You will know, and you will think in your head, I knew this first date. Should have just never been this understanding. It's something I've noticed in a lot of people around me. So yeah, just putting that also out there.
That's really, really smart. I mean, and I can really relate to it. That yes, they do. Wow.
They do, yeah. They do that. Yeah, that's true. And it's like, that's the thing. Once you start getting more and more attached to a person, right? And given the fact that they think you're a therapist, so you'll be understanding, or the fact that you feel you should be more understanding, or even if you're a regular person trying to date, more and more you start to like someone, the more sort of the more you start allowing their behavior, even though it's right or wrong, right? Or accepting you out of their flaws also, which is a good thing. The problem is the things that you didn't like initially don't automatically, magically become likable, okay? Unless they are actually healed and transformed. They will stay.
That's true.
You might be in this sort of state of limerence or a state of being love bombed. You might start ignoring those things and maybe not noticing them, but that doesn't mean they go away. They might go into the background for a while, right? But I'm sure they will come back just as spiky and just as problematic as before. So
Yeah. It makes sense. Even though it makes so much sense, I still think that it's very subjective. I don't know.
It is.
Because I think that we have both experienced it, but I've also seen people who have not really experienced this. It's been completely opposite. But
Fair enough.
what you just mentioned, oh my god, it makes so much sense.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Of all the people that I know that have had like terrible dates or have had their relationships not work out, like in couples therapy also, or just as individual clients or friends or family or whatever, they've always said that what ended up becoming the issue of resentment over time, something that they didn't like in their partner from the beginning. And it's so weird because we usually this wild concept that goes around in our movies, in our books, and everything is that opposites attract, right?
Yeah.
And two people who are opposites kind of do get together, and there is some kind of spark. Spark to hoga, when there's a lot of friction, there will be spark. When you rub two stones together, sparks fly.
True.
Right? Over the hogas, where there's a lot of friction, sparks will fly. Now, are those sparks actually good or not? Who knows? And I've noticed a lot of people where they say, since they're opposite people attract, so they're doing two different things, right? They're usually unique individuals who maybe don't even agree with a lot of things that their partner does because they're so different. But they're like sparks to chemistry to this, right? And then they recognize that they're so different that there is no middle ground left anymore. So say for instance, your partner is very outgoing and you are like a very indoor cat kind of person, right? So in the beginning, you like that. I like the fact that he pulls me out of the house. I like the fact that we do hang out with so many people. And then with time, when you get into that low energy cycle of yours, you are gonna hate him for that exact same thing, saying he drive me out of the house. I don't want to go out. I'm tired. I'm busy. I don't want to go out on social media. So, and then he's gonna be like, "Oh, but you enjoyed it."
True.
Right? This is not who you are. You are not an outgoing person. I'm not saying you can't become an outgoing person. I'm not saying that you shouldn't try to, accommodate your partner in that sense. That if he likes going out, try to go out with them. Of course, I'm just saying we should also know your own limit so that you don't overcommit to something that you're not completely comfortable with.
That's true. And with this only, I have a question for you. Have you ever been scared to react, normally because you're a therapist in front of your partner or somebody that you're dating?
As in react normally?
You know that you're going to, you want to be super angry on that person, but then calm down.
Yeah, that's the sympathy wala part, no? They come from so much trauma. I should probably not add to it, but I should be understanding. in this moment, or am I looking at this wrong? Like basically just over analyzing whatever reaction I am having to their behavior and sort of trying to mellow it down and trying to change it and try to really soften the blow so that it doesn't, you know, hit as hard, so they don't, get worse after hearing whatever it is you have to say. I have
Yeah,
done that. Have you done that?
yeah, for sure. But then later I've seen that it just comes out as a bomb.
It does. It does. It does. Right. That's what I'm saying. So there's no this entire thing of being more sympathetic and being more understanding and understanding the fact that they might be coming from some trauma or this or that. No matter how much you try to cushion the thing, it's still going to hurt when you blow out, probably even more. Right?
Yeah.
So that's something that we need to understand so that we don't do this in our relationships anymore. Not be overly understanding.
Hmm. Also, do you think that people act better on dates when they know that they're dating a therapist? Have you ever had that
I
kind of an
don't.
experience?
I don't know. I have not been on many, so I'm not aware of that. But have you noticed it? I
No,
think
not
there is
really. This
this
is why I was
entire
excited to ask you this question.
no, but I do think that there is this entire wave, right, of it's just in our generation where almost everybody is very aware of therapy talk, right? So they know the right words to use, and in general, even if you're not aware of therapy, everybody tries to be their most presentable and be their most interesting self on dates, anyways, right? So I think when they know that you're a therapist, they'll be just using more therapy words, I suppose, to seem very I don't know, informed, I suppose. But that's just something that our generation does on its own. And it's not just about impressing someone that you know is a therapist. Even when you're trying to date regular, like if two people who are not therapists are trying to date, I'm sure they will still be using these words just to seem a little more, informed and a little
And
more
woke.
impressive. And stuff. Hmm?
And woke.
Yeah, and woke. Yes, absolutely woke. Have you used therapy speak in your relationship, or have
Therapy
you had it used against you?
um used against me.
Yeah, like in an argument. Don't
I
gaslight me, Muskan. This is my trauma.
No.
Good.
I think
Good.
that was never the case, but uh, I have used
Oh,
them.
oh, okay. What have you said?
But that was very much
Mm,
understandable, and the other person also knew that
mm,
this is what. Oh, the other person admitted it that this is what they're doing,
yeah, yeah. Oh,
and
okay.
that is when I started using it.
Mm,
So yeah, I have used therapy speak during
mm,
a conversation in my relationship, but yeah, it never turned out to be a sour conversation. It was a very much understanding conversation. So I don't think it was that bad. But have you?
yeah. Probably, man, in terms of just explaining that, what, I get that whatever you're saying right now, just to get them to see that where it might be coming from so that we can possibly fix it. As in, when you're in the middle of an argument, so you try to explain your side and why you're behaving like this, and to them because they probably can't see it. So you tell them, what, you're behaving like this right now because of all of this, so that you can understand that, what, this is not you, this is where you're coming from, so that we can maybe go ahead and fix those things
Yeah.
and not blame each other for whatever is happening. But I don't think it was anyways. But do you think people are starting to use a lot of therapy talk in general?
Yeah, for sure. And
Okay.
as as therapists, I think
Mm-hmm.
it becomes really difficult to refrain also to not do that because
Yeah.
it's what we do professionally. That we
Mm.
talk about all of these things, and when you see it happening with yourself, with your own partner,
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
it feels very natural. Ki, okay, abhi bol dete hai. Maybe they'll understand.
Exactly.
But then I've realized with my own experiences that it does not really help. It makes things much more
Yeah.
worse.
It does. It does. Because I'm trying to understand it from the other person's perspective, and it might feel like, you're trying to sound smarter than them in the
Hmm.
conversation. Maybe you're trying to sound more aware or just, as if you have some kind of upper hand. It's just because you know these words
See,
and
either
that's
the
it.
reaction is that one, or they
Yeah.
get dependent on you. That this person will help me
Yeah.
every time to figure out that what's the problem.
And neither of those are good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, but I think it has a lot to do with this thing, how pop psychology is becoming so famous, right? Like any kind of person with maybe not even a proper degree in psychology is just on Instagram or on social media and just teaching people psychology. Like this is manipulative psychology if they do that. If this is good psychology if they do that. which animal do you pick based on your psychology? Think of all these things, right? So I think it's just becoming a lot more common for people to know these words also, right? Like gaslighting and trauma dumping and trauma bonding and all these things. And the definitions and the meanings actually get mixed. People go ahead and use them anyway. So it's like, it's becoming a lot. Like you hear it so much more nowadays, which is in itself not a nice thing.
Yeah, that's true. But I also think even though dating as a therapist is very difficult, uh, it has its pros also.
What are the pros?
So
please tell us.
I think one which I recently understood that was that I was in this session with a client where he was going through a similar situation that I was back in my relationship, and when we were having this conversation, when we were able to break that thing that there was something that was not letting us understand that, oh, why is this issue going on, and when we cracked it, I was able to crack it in my head that, oh, in my relationship also. So I think it's good that way also.
The pros of dating as a therapist are that it helps you in your in your work.
I mean, of course, everything is connected, so yeah, there's a pro as well.
It doesn't help you in your relationship, it helps you in your work.
No, so see, if I was still in that relationship, then if I would have cracked it here, then I would have been, yeah, I don't know, probably. I'm assuming.
Yeah, let's hope there are two benefits too.
At least.
Not just for work, but actually in the relationship.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I also had this thought in my head that, have you ever felt that, somebody chose you because you have good listening skills?
Honestly, I've not met so many people, so I don't think that is something I can answer. But I do not have good listening skills other than as a therapist and being in the therapy room, because I have ADHD. I cannot listen to people for more than 2 minutes. So I really don't think anybody in my personal life can choose me for my listening skills. With my clients, it's like I'm focused because I'm a therapist, so obviously I have to listen. So I think it automatically switches on that part of my brain, the listening part, as soon as I'm in the therapy room. As soon as I'm outside, it's home. There is no person interesting enough for me to listen to more. No, definitely not my listening skills.
But you listen to me.
Maybe that is why I'm single, because it's definitely not my listening skills that are getting to people. Yeah, no.
Oh God.
What about you? Are people choosing you for your listening skills?
No, but I've heard this from other people that they felt that that after a lot of meeting or the dates that they went through, the other person, that girl was chosen because she had good listening skills.
For her, I suppose I don't get it, but yeah, maybe so. It's like you like somebody who listens to you. That's a nice thing.
Yeah.
Given they also get a chance to speak and not just listen to the other person the entire time. Yeah, sounds good for the people concerned. As I really can't make sense. Yeah. But do you look for someone who's a good listener? It really depends on what appeals to you, right? So I think that might work for them. Would it work for you? Do you look for someone who's a good listener?
I mean,
do you?
I think yes. I would definitely want somebody who has good listening skills, but of course not professionally. It's like, okay, if basic human
would you
listening.
Date a therapist? Let me ask you.
Oh God.
Would you? Because since we are therapists, we're supposed to have good listening skills. You date a therapist, then those are guaranteed listening skills, right? So you date a therapist.
This is why I said not professionally. See, I was so good with my words. Played it safe. I don't know if two therapists date, how would that be? Dude, अगर दोनों ही बहुत understanding होंगे तो सिर्फ understand.
Every day.
Exactly.
You want to sit with it and think about it.
Yeah, dude, but I have this image of this one couple. Both of them are, I think, therapists, and they're dating, and they make Instagram reels, and they're very informative reels about relationships, how to talk, how to communicate. Dude, if a relationship is like that, then I think it also becomes a little boring. I don't know. I'm not sure. See, I mean,
wait.
I don't expect a person to be absolutely.
Wait. No. So you think having a relationship which is on the surface, because they're both therapists, right, and they can understand each other very nicely, so you think a relationship with that much understanding is actually boring?
That much understanding, yeah, definitely. I mean, see, if the other
So
person is
you want
always
to have
understanding,
fights,
then
but then the fights are the reason your relationship doesn't work
no,
because
no,
you
of
fight.
course. But I think if they're being always understanding, then it is a little fishy. Is it not? See,
It
because you
could
are
be,
two
but
different people.
yeah, so maybe it is that they do fight, right? But then I think the way they repair after a fight is more sensible because they're both therapists. Like they know how to actually, because a lot of us lack in that, right? We do fight, and I think everybody, when the two people together, they will fight. And I think the repair process for them would look a lot easier than what it
This
does for us.
exactly this. So I do want a proper repair process that happens.
So then date a therapist. Then you can both sit with your notebooks,
See,
writing.
maybe I will. I mean, never say never. So I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, and everything I will, right? So let's talk since we've we already mentioned it now. Let's talk about the repair process in any kind of relationship and why sometimes a lot of relationships fail because people don't know how to repair after that.
Okay. I think that happens because when we think of repair, we usually think of the instant repair that can happen at that time, and that usually is repairing the surface level problem. That that at least abhi ke liye to ladai band ho jaye, and we don't really see the root cause of it. Where is this really coming from? Where is this originating from? So if we don't really work on that, then we keep on circling back to the same issue again and again. And there comes a point in relationships where you get tired of that happening again and again. And I think in relationships, it's much more very, very important. Oh God, so much of patience is needed for that. That to realize that okay, till now we were working on surface level things to make it instantly go at that time. Now we have to think about how can we, work on this so that we do not circle back on this issue again.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
I
even
don't
if we
think
do,
it's
how to fix it again.
fun repeating cycles, honestly. I don't think that's fun. But then I think that's the thing, right? When you're repeating a certain cycle with someone, right? I think at least the problem that I face is one where, you start feeling like maybe you should just give them more time because sometimes it's difficult for people to change their patterns, and I think this is something that happens a lot because we're therapists, so we understand the resistance for people to change, but then they're trying to change kind of a thing, right? Or sometimes we assume that they're trying to change. Honestly, maybe they're not even trying to change because our outlook of relationship is that if a person is in a relationship, what we would do in a relationship, right? We would try to change. So we assume sometimes that the other person will also obviously try to change so that we can have a good relationship, right? So I think that also sort of clouds our judgment at that point. We can't differentiate between what we think the person is and what their reality is, right? And then we just get confused more and more. And we think maybe we should give them more time because they're trying. And then maybe eventually they'll reach there and all of that. But yeah.
Yeah, but what if people confuse this with, I'm sure that this is not just something that that therapists feel. Even people
Yeah.
pleasers,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
probably go through the same thing.
I mean, yeah, that's what I'm saying, right? Like everybody will go through it is the problem, and it is cycles do get annoying after a point. But then it really becomes about what you were saying at the beginning, right? How long do you stay for, and how much time or how many chances you give the same person again and again and again before getting fed up with whatever it is that they're doing, right? Because at the end of the day, it is everybody's own responsibility to change and show up in the relationship. So I think that also becomes very difficult to then deal with. I think one very interesting way to look at it is that, maybe just understanding the fact that love is actually not enough to sustain a relationship. Sometimes you stay thinking I'm in love with them, so I'll stay. But
Learned
love
it
isn't
the hard
really
way,
enough.
and all of
Yeah.
us do. All of us do. See,
Yeah.
we are human beings, and this is according to at least Maslow's theory, hierarchy needs theory. We all need love in our second
We do.
stage only,
We do,
and
yeah.
we think that since that's one of our needs,
Mm.
I think the whole uh, relationship should be based on that. But of course, it
Yeah.
cannot just be based on love. There's
Yeah.
so much more to
God,
it.
there is so much more to it, right? I think there is a lot more basic everyday things that go into sustaining a relationship and not just love. And I think, unfortunately, or Yeah, unfortunately not. There's an unfortunate fact. Unfortunately, the fact that the Maslow's theory thing, as if we all kind of need love in our lives, I think we allow for a lot of nonsense because I can't think of the word. We allow for a lot of nonsense to go on, and a lot of excuses and behaviors that we allow just because we feel like love is so important. And I'm not saying love is not important. It of course is very important. We all do need it. But I think on some level, all of us feel that love is also scarce, and then it won't come by so soon
Yeah.
again. And that makes us so afraid of leaving a situation which isn't favorable for us and has not been for a very long time. But there is just this fear that if you leave, you might not find this again, or you might not find love again. I think in those moments you should realize that love actually isn't enough to keep a relationship anyways. So maybe it is not the most detrimental part that you won't find love again, so it will all not work out kind of a thing, right? Because that isn't even the most important part to sustain a relationship. So maybe look at it from different perspective and maybe go easier on yourself in that.
Felt like therapy to me.
Yes, I'm saying it out
No, but
way
yeah,
ahead from
it
us.
does absolutely. It makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's yeah, right. What do you think this comes from? The fact that we feel that love is so scarce, and it's so weird that the people who love the most freely and love in very big, grand ways, like love so openly, are the ones who actually fear that there is less love to go around, so they won't find it again, kind of a thing. And this is usually the partner in the relationship who's more giving and more open to loving and more easily expressing love and all of that. So for them, love is already existing, right? And they can show it also. But they are the ones who also fear that they might not get love.
The same kind of love
Technically,
back.
yeah, but they're technically not even getting it in this one, right? So it's like, where does the fear come from, do you think?
See, if we talk about this, we will completely get into the therapy side of it. We're losing our
We
track
should
from
get
here.
into this. This is a therapy podcast also, right? We're therapists. We might as well say something that comes from inside and not just our experience. Something that's actually therapy.
I okay. I think that this is also very subjective, because one way to look at it, they probably did not get that kind of love from their own family in their childhood, so they're trying. So they think that that kind of love does not really exist. So or maybe if it exists, then it's them. They are trying to show that kind of love. That
Yeah.
मुझे किसी ने नहीं दिखाया तो मैं दिखाऊंगा
So
सबको.
yeah. Yeah, and they somehow still don't believe that they also deserve that kind of love. They just feel like I won't let anybody feel the way I
I
felt,
felt.
so I will just go ahead and love them twice as much or something like that. But it's true, but it's sad also that they keep repeating the same patterns again, right?
Mhm.
And not thinking that they deserve love, they actually kind of push it away from the right people also and keep accepting wrong partners in life. Right? That's also something needs to be talked about. Yeah, that's another part of it. Let's come back to that one where where we established that love actually isn't enough to sustain a relationship. What else is there, and what should people be, mindful of while looking for a good partner? Do you think?
Oh. There are so many things. I mean, on top of my head, um, communication.
Yeah,
It is the thing about communication is that everybody right now is talking about how communication is important in a relationship, but the essence of it, that communication, kya hai communication? It's one person saying, another person comprehends exactly in the same context as the samne wala person is saying. This
yeah,
is what is
yeah.
forgotten. We are taking communication as something ki sab kuch bolna hai. Arey bolna
Bolna
hai,
hai,
but
yeah,
then to understand it in the same context, to listen peacefully, very
yeah,
nicely, that's
yeah,
completely forgotten. So I think
yeah,
that, and that also, of course, it's not something that I've learned being a therapist. It comes being a human. So with my own experiences, I've learned it the
yeah,
hard way,
yeah,
as everyone else.
yeah.
So yeah, I think communication, that is something important. Tell me something that you have in your mind.
So I just want to say that yes, the communication part, because we take it so wrong, right? We think because communication है तो सब
बस
कुछ
बोलना
बोलना
है.
है, सब कुछ बोलना है. तुम भी बोलो, मैं भी बोलूंगी, सब कुछ बोलना है. But what we miss is the most important part. That is the actual comprehension of whatever was said in the first place, right?
Yep.
हमने बोल तो दिया, but सामने वाले को समझ में आया क्या? That's very difficult because we are such different people that our communication styles are also different, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just about communicating, it is also about communicating in a way that the other person understands what you're trying to say. And it is not always just about words, sometimes it has to be more than words, because it's not as simple as that. Because somebody's style might be a little less expressive than
That's
yours.
true.
But then you're not communicating, you're not communicating. Maybe they have different ways of communicating, right?
And see, we're just at point one communication. We're still at point one.
No,
And
so, but then I think this is a good point, because it brings us to my next question, which is that, okay, we agreed that love is not enough to sustain a relationship. The one good thing would be to have, communication. Do you think you should wait and build a communicative way that, works for you and your partner, or should you just search for somebody who has the same communication style as yours? Would that make it easier compared to, figuring out yours and mine kind of?
I think finding it is a little difficult and building it is a little easier. I'm not sure. I mean, building it is
Finding
also no.
somebody who is completely, like, in their box and completely uncommunicative and has, like, say, an avoidant, withdrawn, detached, introverted style, would they really become open to communicating? It's something that they've never done for, say, like 20, 25 years. Now, all of a sudden, will that to be easier? Don't you think it's easier to find someone who's already on a good
no,
communicative
of course
level?
not with that kind of a person. Of course, it's going to be so difficult. I mean,
Yeah.
of course, but I don't know, the idea of finding somebody with the same kind of communication pattern, bro. I might say this because of my. I don't know. Do you find these kind of people?
That's the thing, right? So, say for instance, a person who is at a certain level of vocabulary, right? And I say this in the nicest sense. I'm not talking about like English mein ya Hindi mein. I'm not talking about what fancy words you use. Just saying vocabulary in the sense that you're able to communicate whatever it is you're feeling, regardless of what language or what words you use. You can use basic words also. There should be a certain connect between what you feel and your ability to express it clearly.
Correct.
Right? There are a lot of people are missing that. As in, they can feel whatever they want on the inside, but they can't express it. So if you can't express it, how will the other person know what it is you're feeling, right? I think that connect between feeling and expressing is really important. That is honestly, it's just a skill which can be built, right? That's the kind of work we do with children at this point, right?
Yeah.
When children come in for therapy and we teach them that what's the word that you can use and this way you say it. For adults, it's not very wrong to expect that they would know how to use these words, right? And if they don't, then I still don't think it's wrong to expect them to go and learn these things, right? So again, it's I think going to be something that everyone has to take sort of responsibility for themselves to show up as good partners. They would invest in learning how to,
Yeah.
be more connected with their inner world and to be able to express it also. So then I think it's absolutely makes sense to date someone who is on that same wavelength as you, right? Because otherwise you will be their therapist because you'll be explaining ki, here's the emotion wheel. Let me just quickly pull this out. Where are you on the emotion wheel?
Teaching them the emotional vocabulary.
Yeah.
Okay, makes
I
sense.
definitely think it would be easier to date somebody on your safe wavelength, right? In terms of I think it would just make it a bit more smoother. So you would know what they're feeling, or you wouldn't have to you prefer it, and you wouldn't have to sort of force words out of it.
True. With this, I also have this one more question. That since
Mm.
we've had our good fair of experiences in
Yeah. Good, huh? Oh, shit. You had
yeah.
a bad show experience. But
Do you think do you fear being intuitive or hyper aware the next time?
honestly, I feel like it might be the other way around. As in, I will be aware, as if my body would be picking up on signs saying that, what, you've seen a pattern like this before, and sort of the alarm bells would start ringing. And I feel like because, you're a therapist and you're supposed to be understanding and all of that, I am going to excuse the intuition by saying, no, 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 you're just reading too much into it. So actually ignore your intuition and just give this person another chance. I think I have more fears of that. And I think that I've done that also. So I think that will be more true compared to me saying, you know what, I finally picked this right the first time around. I think I'd still excuse behavior. Should not be doing that. So that's mine. What is yours?
I think I have both the sides of it. I'm
Yeah.
also scared that I might be hyper aware of everything and I might want
Yeah.
to, work on those small things later on. or I what you said also felt very real. So I think I might have both of them. I don't know.
Yeah, eventually when you will start liking the person, the other one will take it.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be in the beginning, you'll be hyper aware and you'll be like, should I not, should I not? And then once you are, you'll be like, I mean, I hope you're not, but
Of course.
thinking that, yeah, it's gonna go. But yeah, so a lot of, nothing easy about dating as a therapist. Nothing easy about dating a therapist also. I mean, maybe we should call someone who's not a therapist and ask them if they've dated a therapist and how difficult
Yeah,
it is to date
that
a
would be
therapist.
fun.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because think about it. I mean, we know from our experience, like dating people who are not therapists, how that is, right? But I'm assuming it must be a little difficult for people to date therapists also.
It's
Right?
so weird because it's so weird to think that way also now, because all of our friends also we taught them this therapy speak and therapy language.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, they're pretty good now.
yeah, they're pretty good now. They do understand, and they do try to, you know, after seeing my Instagram reels also now, they do understand all of these things, and they try to question whenever we have these uh, the boy conversations. Then
Yeah.
I see how their language has changed completely. So now I really don't know
they're
how
able
normal.
to pick things up also, but that's good, right? They're able to express also. I like that about them.
Mm-hmm.
They're able to, express, saying ye kiya and I feel this because of that. You're like, now it makes sense. As opposed to them going in circles, they can really pinpoint what it is they're saying. So definitely, yeah, communication has improved. But I really do think we should talk to someone who's dating a therapist, and that feels like, does it
Dating a
feel,
therapist.
yeah, does it feel scary? Does it feel nice? Does it feel overwhelming? Does it feel like he or she will take care of all the emotional part of the relationship? I think we should get someone in for that. It'll be fun.
I really don't know anyone who's dating a therapist.
Yeah, we are all single.
I really don't know who's dating a therapist. Wow.
No
Okay,
one.
but let's figure it out.
No one. Maybe we should run like a public poll saying if you're dating a therapist, please do our podcast.
Therapists
Yeah,
will
that's what it
be
feels
only
like.
left with therapists then. I don't
But
know
now
how
that I
that.
think about it, so it's very hard to date therapists. Maybe that's the conclusion of this because I don't know anybody who's dating a therapist. We just have to search and dig deep on this one.
Yeah.
Okay. So what else what else do you think is difficult in terms of relationships? And what else is important? So you said love is not the most important thing, right? You said communication is. What else?
What else is difficult?
So we said that love is like not the most important aspect of a relationship, and communication might be a very important one actually. What else do you think is really important in relationships?
Um, Two more things that come to my head is
Okay.
boundaries, maintaining boundaries, and compatibility.
Okay. Let's start with boundaries.
I think making firm boundaries with your partners, I think that's something that's a very tricky thing, because
Yeah.
the idea of love that at least movies and series have given us is that, you know, love has no boundaries, and
Yep.
you can be just yourself with your partners, but sometimes there are some boundaries that a person has and they do not like even their partners crossing it.
Crossing.
um,
Yeah.
for example, their me time, there's a concept
Yeah.
of me time
Yeah.
which is so much important, that, you know, this is the time when I absolutely do not like to be disturbed. This is just my time, and I like to spend it all by myself. But to make your partner understand that, now that's a tricky thing.
That is the tricky thing. That is. I've noticed that in a couple of clients that I've had, the difficulty that they seem to face in terms of explaining to their partner that this is my time and my space, and I just need a little bit of a breather without them feeling like they are being rejected right now. That I think is very difficult.
This feeling of rejection that comes in
Yeah.
in the partner, that's the trickiest thing to deal with. And then so yeah, maintaining boundaries, I just gave an example of how boundaries might work in a relationship. And then
Compatibility.
compatibility, I want you to give an example for compatibility.
I honestly don't know if I agree with the compatibility thing because I like how do you define it? Let's start there so that I know I'm answering it right. Like what do you mean when you say compatibility?
I mean, it's also one more thing that you need to pay attention to when you're dating somebody.
So, but in what aspect do you mean when you say compatible? Like, what do you mean by it? Some people think compatibility is like movies, like in the same food, like in the same artist. Both being an outdoorsy person is compatibility. Both being family people is compatibility.
No, no, no. In terms
Aquatic
of
pets is compatibility.
understanding another person.
Okay, so
Do they have the bandwidth, the emotional capacity to deal with it? Are they
okay,
compatible
so
that way?
emotional capacity is the compatibility that you're talking about. And so that is very important. I think I just clarify what I meant when I said I don't agree with it. A lot of people think compatibility is also, you liking the same things, like liking the same food, liking the same hangout activities, liking the same
This
thing.
thought did not come
Okay.
to my head.
No, a lot of people define
Yeah, it
compatibility
does.
like
It
we're
does.
so compatible, we like the same things. For me, I don't think that's compatibility. I think people can be their own person and they can enjoy their own things, and you can still. I don't think that's going to be very difficult. Emotional compatibility, yes, this brings us back to, I think we did talk about this a little earlier, right? When I was saying that wouldn't it be easy to date someone who's on the same emotional wavelength as you in terms
Yeah.
of, expressing whatever it is that they're going through, right? So yeah, I agree that emotional compatibility is going to be very important. And, I think we think of this again because we're therapists, right? And we get it that not everyone can have the same kind of emotional vocabulary or be on the same kind of space because they never got a safe enough space to be vulnerable. So then we're sort of inclined to create the space for them. And then that ends up, becoming burdensome for us also. So how do you, okay, maybe you answered it right, having that boundary with saying that they don't get into our emotional space and sort of don't burden us with theirs, but then at the same time we can hold space for them also. Yeah, but that's tricky, I think. That would be something to figure out.
Exactly
But
right.
this is not something I figured out until so yeah, that's definitely something I figured
No,
out.
yeah, I mean, it's some
Compatibility, my emotional compatibility.
yeah, which gets tricky again as a therapist.
That's what, right? Because you're like, because I wasn't this person 2.5 years ago, right? The more I've grown
When
into
you
this
said
profession,
this it instantly clicked into my head that the compatibility that you said right now, that that some people do think that compatibility is liking the same movies, same snacks, or whatever. But I used to think of compatibility that way a few years back. Now that thing did not even pop into my head. My first thing was that compatibility, which is emotional compatibility.
that's what, right? So that's what I'm saying. We didn't know all of this 2, 3 years ago, right? We have changed. Now, again, if we think about this, it's like, when you're dating someone who's, not a therapist or not used to these kind of words or these kind of spaces, and, they're somewhere which is not the same wavelength, but can you really blame them for it? So you're like, maybe I should be more, I don't know, investing a bit more in creating the space for them. Then sometimes you don't know when to stop, and then sometimes it just starts taking a toll on you. So I think boundaries are very important. But having said that, what we began with, at the start of this episode, saying that, as an adult, you really should take responsibility for
Yeah.
what you are and how to heal, kind of thing. It's not your partner's responsibility, even if they are a therapist, right? So I think in some point, we also need to remind ourselves that even though we are a therapist, and it's very unfortunate that our partner did not get a space to be themselves and be safe and be
Yeah.
vulnerable and all that, it's still not our job to overwork ourselves and provide this for them. Anyways, every relationship provides a safe space, right? So that much we will also do, but not to sort of bend over backwards
Yeah.
and provide it for them, because that will just create a lot of resentment over time,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because then it will, for us also, it won't feel personal. It will start feeling like professional. It will start
Professional.
feeling like work.
Just how we feel the compassion fatigue with our clients. That's exactly how we feel the compassion fatigue with our partners.
That's not nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so right now it seems like no matter what we do, you date or you stay single, you are just not going to be fine in either of those situations, which, not fine.
Yes, so I think with this, we come to an end for today's podcast. We've talked a lot about
And
dating
I
today.
still feel like we're not done. We should probably make a part two.
Yeah, and we will. We will be calling somebody and then we'll make the
We should call somebody
part
who's
two of
dated a
this.
therapist.
Okay, guys, so here's the end of our episode 3. With this, I just want to say that, whenever you see us next, we will still not be fine.
As promised in the title, I don't think we're ever going to be fine. So yeah, but we do welcome you to come check out other things that we're not.
For that, to know that how we're not fine, like, share, and subscribe. See you. Bye.